Hey guys!
What's up, you guys?
Tasha here.
And this is Ryan.
And we're here to talk to you guys about homeschool. Homeschool 101 with Tasha and Ryan. There's a few topics that we're going to cover right away. The first thing we're going to go through Homeschool 101 is why we homeschool. This video will begin a series of homeschool videos that we'll have for you guys in the future. We don't know exactly when they're going to come out yet, but we'll be working on it in the background while we're doing all our other vlogging and blogging. We'll have them on our website because that's where we plan on doing most of our homeschool trainings in the future for those who desire to have more knowledge of homeschool.
I'm going to mainly be using YouTube as our resource for our website and our business.
Yes, so if you guys haven't followed our website, please go there and put your email in and your name. We'll send you wonderful things. We're not spam you, okay? And you guys will be getting a heads up on anything and everything that we do on our website for our channel and everything like that.
And we have a lot of exciting things coming up.
Yes, we do. Oh my gosh. God is good. God is moving things. He is doing something new. So without further ado, guys, let's get started.
So why do we homeschool? That's the question.
The number one reason why we homeschool is our faith.
Yes.
How long have we been homeschooling?
We've been homeschooling for about 7 years almost. And that was since the girls were the girls. I say the girls
because
that's
twins.
The twins.
We have 4 girls, ages 8, 6, and 5. Our 8-year-old twins are in the 4th grade, so next year will be the last year in elementary school. Kristen is in the 1st grade and Faith Ann is in kindergarten.
We decided to do this a long time ago because we saw the public school. We've been through the public school system and we know exactly how it goes. We know there's a lot of negligence in the public school, and so we wanted to just make things better for our kids. We wanted them to have a more enriching school experience. And so in order to take away a lot of those hindrances that come from public school, we wanted to homeschool so that we can put and instill our faith into our daughters.
Yes.
And that they will be able to actually learn about the Bible, learn how to pray, learn what it means to apply the biblical principles to their life.
If you're not going to send your kids to a Christian private school, then they should be homeschooled.
The teacher's going to teach your kids all the politics of the day, all the dirty politics, and they're going to grow up to be something opposite of what you're trying to raise them up in church. You send them to church for 1 day a week, and they learn about God, they learn about Jesus, but 5 days out of the week, they're getting indoctrinated with all kinds of worldly ideas. And the teachers take their time to give them all of their philosophies and what they want them to know.
It is very important that our girls know who they are in Christ before they enter the regular world on their own. So, if we signed them up for a particular class, let's say they wanted to do ballet, let's say they wanted to do something, right? And they're going to meet all kinds of kids with all kinds of beliefs. But if they know who they are in Christ first, there you go.
The first 5 years of the kid's education is the most important.
Yes, it is.
And so that's when you have to teach them who they are in Christ. Because if they don't have reasons for their faith, you'll find yourself with the shell of a kid, right? On the outside, they'll have this appearance of a Christian, but on the inside, their faith is dying or is already dead.
Yeah.
And that's something for us parents to watch out for, is to make sure that we engage our kids to understand how they're thinking. What do you feel about Jesus Christ? Do you actually think that he exists? Do you think that he died, that he rose from the dead? All of these different questions, and that allows us to make sure their faith is solid.
Yes, and then another thing that we want to go through is safety. Safety is a big one, especially going to public schools. Now, as you guys already know, all schools have metal detectors at every entrance of the building. And then the ones that don't have metal detectors, those entrances are closed off. Kids have become very dangerous these past years. I mean, even when we were in school, there was some stuff going on, but not to the point where there were little metal detectors before you can enter the school. This is at every grade level, okay? When you get to babies, like 9-year-olds, bringing BB guns to school. BB guns to school, yes.
I remember.
That is very scary. Shooting kids, and then you got teachers that are not telling their parents what's going on, and parents are finding out about these things and the back burner. That is scary, right? Kids are like sponges. They suck up information. Why do you think your kids want to look like you? Why do you think they want to dress like you? They're learning who you are. And if your kids are not looking at you, if they're not wanting to look like you or be like you or something of that sort, right? Then they're getting who they should look like and how they should dress from somebody else. Now, my kids, my girls, they go, Mom, I want to have that shirt. Mom, can I have your hairstyle? Mom, I want my ears pierced like you. Okay, that's fine. You know what I mean? I got my ears pierced when I was a baby. We're not trying to have them live under a rock. Okay, we're Christians, but we're not square. But they're getting how they want to be by me. I'm their first teacher. Parents are their children's first teachers, and if they're not getting it from you, believe me, they're getting it from somebody else. So to be there for your kids is the #1 thing. Also, kids have always learned at home. Parents are their kids' first teachers. Your kids learn from you when they're babies. They see your facial expressions. How do you think babies learn how to smile? They sit there and they stare at their mom and dad, the people whom they love, right? And they learn how to smile. They know that when they smile, you're gonna smile back. Right?
Here we go.
They know that when you look at them and you make those cute little faces, they want to giggle. They're giggling because it creates a response, a stimulus from mom and dad or sister and brother. Parents also make the best teachers because we are able to strengthen our children's weaknesses. That's very important.
A lot of times when we talk about socialization, what are we really talking about? Because a lot of times adults don't even know how to socialize.
And this is true because half the time is you walk by somebody and they don't even say hi.
Yeah.
They don't even say bye. It doesn't matter where you are, whether you are outside in the regular world or even if you're in church at an event, there is not a lot of people that actually say hi and socialize. Yeah. So you can't say, well, my kids are going to miss out on socializing. Well, really, think about it. Are you a very social person?
So the question is, who do we want our kids to socialize with? The reason why over 75% of the kids leave the church after high school is because of this whole socialization issue. Who are your kids socializing with? I want you to think about that question, because what's on your kids' friends' cell phones? What are they watching? What are they showing your kids? All the images and things that your kids see will never leave them. And all the things that they're exposed to, it will become a part of what shapes and molds their life.
Exactly.
It's important for us to guide our kids and help them to guard their minds because they're still developing. They still don't know everything that they need to know. And we're putting them out there in an environment that can be pretty damaging. And don't forget about bullying, right?
Oh, that's a big one.
The bullying issue is the biggest thing that I've heard parents say is that, man, if I can only homeschool because my kid is having problems with bullying at school.
And we know of a couple of families that have had to take their children out of school to homeschool them because of bullying, and it's not nice. Bullying can be everywhere. Yeah, I may hear you saying out there, yeah, but there's bullying, you know, even in a church. There's cliques and groups and all that stuff. Yeah, it should not be that way.
Yeah.
But if it is, that's why you homeschool your kids. You can teach them the right way.
And so the problem with the bullying in public school is that you won't find out until your kid gets in trouble. Why? Because the teachers and the principals a lot of times are negligent. We get back to that word, which means that they don't watch everything, and a lot of things that they see, they turn a blind eye to.
All right, guys, so the next thing that we're going to talk about is how we homeschool. #1 thing is to do is to have the HSLDA on your side?
The HSLDA is an organization that helps homeschool parents and kids, as well as some Christian organizations and churches, legally helps them to be protected from the government who tries to hinder them teaching their own kids. And so this is a very much needed organization that you have to have, especially in California, in order to protect your kids' schooling.
We will do a future video all about that later on in our homeschool series. Just know, to have your rights protected and your family's rights protected, you want a legal entity on your side. Block scheduling. Now, kids usually are at school roughly about 8 hours a day, right? The teachers only teach for roughly about 6 hours a day. That's a long time. Can you imagine being in different classes and lectures for 6 hours, being at a whole nother place for 8 hours or longer if they do after school sports things? You are not even around your kids for most of their days, 365 days of the year, especially if you have them during summer school, summer sports, winter school.
And we get it a lot of times because parents have to go to work. But if you're able to homeschool,
you want to do that. And we're going to show you later on in a future video how you can homeschool with a little work, a lot of work, or a whole lot of work, okay? Now, when we block schedule, we have maybe 2 classes or 3 classes a day. For our homeschool personally, we do 2 classes a day or 1 class. It depends on what you want to do. You do however you want to do, but for us, Mondays and Wednesdays are language arts, from grammar to spelling to writing, just phonics, everything in that one day. And we layer it. So if we're going to have a light day, I will layer it this way. I want you guys to try to get your work done, and I'm going to sit here with you guys, and we're going to spend roughly about an hour getting things together, okay? You want to give your kids a break. They need at least a 10 to 15 minute break in between the hours that you're homeschooling. You know, just like a recess. Okay, so since language arts is done for the day, let's work on some history. Let's work on some social studies. You know, you want to layer things. But for the most part, we have school no more than 3 to 4 hours a day. That's all the kids need, sometimes less.
We have math on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and so a lot of times it's only about 1 hour, 1.5 hours, because I'm doing 3 different classes really. Yeah, one class has our twins in there because they're in the same grade. They're in the 4th grade, and then my other class is for my 1st grader who's doing 2nd grade math right now. And so once that's done, it's about 1.5 hours, and that gives them time later on to do their homework, because they have to put into practice the things that they learn in class.
So one important factor is that you want to decide how your day will go based on your lesson plan. So if you create a lesson plan, or you look at your kids' lessons and you see that they're going to be covering this, this, and that, plan your day according to what they're going to be studying, because it just helps you layer, and it just helps you get more things done.
And a plus about homeschooling also is the fact that they can do their homework in class. And guess what? There's plenty of time for them to do anything else later on.
A lot of times when my girls are done with their schoolwork, because my older twins can get done earlier, and I may decide to work with my little kids on something, I'll tell my older kids, okay girls, do your homework. We do give homework. Homework is very important to us, and it's not a necessity in homeschool because they're at home, and so everything they do is homework. But I'm in homework in like the secular school realm. So yeah, I give assignments. You have your vocabulary words. Look up, out of the 16 words that I give them, look up 7. Write down a definition and write 7 sentences. That's homework. They don't need a whole bunch of stuff to do. They just need to use some of the skills that they learned that day.
Yeah, and if you're gonna do projects, why not do them in class, right?
Yeah.
And if you need to finish, if the kids need to finish a project and they have a little bit left, they can do it later on. But you don't always have to take your work outside of the class.
You don't.
We're at home. How many of you guys like to take your work and bring it home?
The next big thing is this word called adulting. What is adulting? Can't you teach your kids life skills? Okay, so now remember when I said that homeschool is not just something you do, it's a part of life. Well, chores is a big part of that. It's a part of homeschooling. You're teaching your kids life skills.
Yeah, there we go.
How to live, how to wash dishes, how to do your own laundry, how to fold your own laundry, how to get your stuff out of the dryer, how to earn that stuff, how to make your little sisters and your family some breakfast. You know what I mean? So yes.
I want to give you guys a new way to look at things when you're raising your kids, right? You're not raising your kids to become kids. You're raising your kids to become responsible adults when they grow up.
And another big thing about chores and homeschooling is that they do not fall apart from each other. If you're homeschooling, then teaching your kids how to work at home is a big part of schooling because that's your way of life. They have to live that way. They have to learn how to work. And so letting them get into the kitchen and do things or to just do chores and fold and become a part of it teaches them that, hey, I have a place in society. This is what I need to do. Remember, parents are their kids' first teachers. So yeah, chores, those life skills that are not taught in school anymore, that's what you want to teach your kids.
And as a parent, it just makes your life so much more easier.
Yes.
Doesn't it?
It doesn't mean that they'll always want to do it, guys. No. So this is the thing to remember is that even in our life, there's things that we don't even want to do, okay? Wake me up out of my bed. Really? Yeah. Teach today? Really? Yes, really. You got to do it, okay? So yeah, they may have their little attitudes and stuff like that. What kid doesn't? No kid is perfect, yeah. Okay? Asking your kids to do stuff and think it's going to be perfection? No. Okay, yes, there's going to be some taking away your electronics. If you give your kids electronics, taking away your favorite cartoon, taking away your ABC mouse, you know what I'm saying? There's going to be some things to teach them, but it's better they learn at home than being fired in real life. The next thing is devotion. It's how we start our day. It's the first class of the day that we start with our kids. We teach them to put God first. We eat breakfast and then we sit on a couch and we have devotion. That's the first class every day. There's no block scheduling with devotion. It's teaching your kids what they believe in, why they believe in. It's theology. This year our girls are doing Answers in Genesis for Kids. They love it. We use a lot of other things to help us teach what we need to teach for our girls, but devotion is one class every day that we do not give up. The fifth thing is getting outside.
When you talk about getting the kids outside, it's very important because they need to let that energy out. Otherwise, it becomes negative energy in order to make you pull out your hair.
Because kids need to have active play.
We've been able to get shopping done sometimes. We've been able to go to the beach. We don't necessarily have to just go to the park.
No.
But the park is a very essential tool for active play.
That we use. And
yes.
Also, when we say park, we don't mean like the kids go climbing on their toys and sliding because that's not really exercise. We mean when we go to the park is we bring a bag of balls and even a baseball bat and we play baseball with the girls. My husband tosses the football to those who are not afraid of the ball coming at their head. And we allow them to bring their bikes sometimes. So they can
run, jog, skip, whatever it takes.
Yeah. As much as we like the extra activities like, I don't know, piano, ballet, and things like that.
All the sports in the world.
Yeah. Classes like that are not always necessary, especially if you homeschool with us using our own money, our own budget. We can't always afford those kinds of things. And it's okay because there are a lot of resources that you can use. Our number one resource that we use when the kids want to do something fun is YouTube. First, the girls wanted to sing, and we still do this. We have looked up vocal teachers with vocal lessons, okay, already on YouTube. That's for free. The girls watch it, and they have learned to sing without going to a vocalist. When the girls were into ballet and they wanted to do ballet, well, we looked up beginners ballet, and we bought them some ballet slippers from Payless. Remember that?
Yeah.
And some of them still have their ballet slippers. These are things that they've loved to do and they've grown out of. They haven't grown out of singing, but they've grown out of ballet. They always wanted to walk around with a tutu and their slippers on. They were taking lessons on YouTube. So a lot of stuff that you put your kids into, they don't necessarily stay in.
And unless your kid is going to be a football player, a basketball player, a soccer player, anything like that, then they don't need to be doing those sports every year, all throughout the year. Baseball, football, soccer, basketball. sometimes us as parents, what we try to do is try to relive our life through our children, and that can cost us a lot.
Costs a lot of money.
I mean, money. So, I mean, unless you're training your kid up to be an Olympian or something like that, don't focus so much on those things, because these are the things of the world, and it will zap your pockets as well as your energy.
I wouldn't worry about it. Let your kids choose what they like and what they want to do as it comes. And then if you see that they really are good at something, if they really love it, then you can find the funds to invest in that. Or else, don't just think that's something that you need to do just because they're homeschooled. I have homeschool friends that let their kids do horseback riding. And sometimes the girls are like, I want to do horseback riding. But then when they go to see the horses, and they see all the poop everywhere and the smell and the flies, they're like, ew, get me out of here. So it's like, okay, what if I pay for this? You don't like it? What?
Yeah, and we give them some exposure, but with that, you're able to see what they really want to do. You let them focus on one thing at a time, and don't put so much pressure on them. And a lot of times people think they have to be rich in order to homeschool. It's not true.
You don't have to be rich.
It's just not true.
Yes, you don't have to be rich. We'll explain that in a future video too, exactly how we homeschool with the finances that we have. You don't need a lot of money. We're not rich. You just have to have a passion and a love to teach your kids, and a love to instill the gospel of Christ into your kids, so that they in turn can instill the gospel of Christ into their children and share the gospel with their friends. One of the biggest things that we like to do is go back to our childhood games that we loved. Now me, I'm a big checkers fan, okay?
She cheats a lot.
Life skills in these games tell people that to play these games fairly, you cannot cheat.
So I use dominoes actually in order to teach the girls math sometimes.
As a game, it's very fun.
Yes.
It's entertaining.
Of course, you go by 5s, 10s, and different things like that, and you're able to allow them to count, multiply, and we use those concepts in dominoes. You just got to get creative. You don't have to be the smartest person in the world.
No, you don't.
You don't have to know everything. You don't have to have a degree.
That's right.
All you need to do is have a willing heart and be motivated and determined to teach your kids.
Yes.
Because as your kids are growing, you are growing as well. And a lot of these subjects that you teach your kids also refresh and bring some things to light that you used to learn when you were a kid.
Yes.
And you start to think like, man, I'm a little smarter now.
Taking me way back.
I think you guys remember that show. I don't know if they're still showing it. Are you smarter than a fifth grader?
I don't know if I on YouTube somewhere, okay?
Most adults are not smarter than fifth graders. So if you think that you're not smart enough, well then most adults aren't either.
Friday is theology, science, and history and art. 4 of the smaller subjects we group together because they're smaller, which means that art can be a project that they may be doing in history class, right? Or maybe something we're cooking up in the kitchen together, me and the girls, or daddy and the girls. They like to get in the kitchen with daddy and bake cookies all the time, okay? That's incorporated with science and math and measuring. That's why we said that homeschool is a part of life. It's a way of life. It's not something you just do. You can't say, let's sit down and homeschool. Let's do homeschool. No, everything is homeschool. Another thing that I wanted to tell you guys before this video gets too long is to show off your kids' work. That's something that we love to do. Display their work. If they have excellent papers, write A+ on their paper. Say you did a good job. And every time you see it, make sure you pat them on the back and tell them how proud you are of their hard work. And show it to their siblings. They have siblings. If you are homeschooling one single child, then you want to make sure you tweak some of these things that we're saying to fit your kids. So you want to bring in family if you have the support of your family. If you don't have the support of your family, if they think you crazy for homeschooling, that's okay. You know why you do it. Know why you homeschool. That's the biggest thing. If you don't know why you homeschool, people will offend you all the time.
And maybe many of you have not really understood what homeschooling is, but you've heard some things and you just really want to understand, well, what are the ins and outs of homeschool? Well, that's why we're here to explain to you guys what that really is, because there's a lot of misconceptions out there and misunderstandings about what homeschool is. And a lot of times the public school teachers and different people who are in that environment will rag on homeschool and say, well, that's not real school. But K through 12 is the same thing, isn't it? But they just caught on a little bit too late, right? A little little bit too late. But we'll talk a little bit more about that in another video in the future, which
the different types of homeschool.
Yeah.
So one of the last things I want to get to, guys, that I have written down is give awards. Okay, give your kids awards. Make your awards up on a computer. Give them certificates. Give them treats when they do good. You want to award them just like in public school, whatever. You remember your awards, your medals and stuff like that. You can get all that stuff made. You can get all that stuff done if you're into that. You can get trophies made. People do it all the time. Give your kids awards. Who says that you can't give your kids awards, right? They're still in school. The biggest reward system that we like to use in our homeschool is the STAR system, which I'll show you guys in our classroom. You just want to boost your kids' confidence with certificates and treats and things like that. Display their art. It creates creativity in the child to know that their art is worth looking at and that they've done a good job. Show it to family, show it to friends, show it online, your groups and stuff like that. Display their stuff because they did a good job. They've worked hard. Don't be afraid to show off your kids' hard work because somebody's going to think that you think that your kids is all that. Well, maybe you do think your kids is all that. They worked hard to get where they are, and you've worked hard as a parent teacher to get them to be where they are. So don't be afraid or shy or ashamed or feel bad because you're showing off what your kids have learned. It's
and
very
then you
important.
have social media as well.
Yeah.
So we all use social media.
Yeah.
Why can't you post something of your kids doing something great in one of their subjects or whatever it may be? Art.
Yeah. The last and final thing that I want to talk about is allow questions. We are parents. We do not know everything. Nobody can know everything. We don't know everything about homeschool. We're still learning, even though we've been doing it for such a long time. So if your child has a valid question that you don't know the answer to, just say, I don't know. But let's find out together. Okay? Don't just ask Google and show your kids your phone.
Yeah.
You can ask Google, but you better look at it and make sure it's appropriate to the question that your kids is asking, because Google will bring us some stuff, guys. Be careful with that Google.
Make sure it's the right answer.
Yes.
But this is important because all of those why questions and how questions, you have to give them attention, because the reason why many of the kids in the previous generation who became adults now, the reason why they doubt God, the reason why they doubt truth, is because those why questions
were never answered,
yeah. And they never got the time of day. As Christians, the Bible tells us to always have a reason for the hope that we have in Christ Jesus.
That's right. Gotta
always
have a
be
reason.
prepared to give an answer.
And if your kids are asking you why, don't be afraid to say, you know what, baby, I don't know, but mama's gonna look that up. Daddy's gonna look that up, and we're gonna find out, and we're gonna talk about it together.
And every
answer the questions, yes.
Every answer to a difficult question is not always, you'll find out when you get there in heaven.
Yeah.
That's not always the best answer, because they will find out from one of their friends or their professors
what
some
the
point in the
possible
future,
answer could be.
And they'll believe any lie that comes to them. Yeah.
Find out, so your kids have a why behind their faith and behind what you want them to do. If you say, put the dishes away, this is a personal example for me, put the dishes away please. Why? Because mama doesn't have time to put the dishes away. I'm gonna put the dishes in, okay? You need to put them away because that's your chores. That's why. Yeah. You want to know why? Now you know.
You can give them a reason. It's because I told you so. If they ask you, well, why do we put the dishes away and not leave them in a dish rack?
Well, let me show you what happens when you don't put the dishes away. Okay, let's just hold off on that. But you'll have double the work tomorrow, and there'll be dirty dishes everywhere because the new dishes couldn't be clean. And they'll click in their head like, oh wow, if I don't do my chores, then things is gonna build up. Then I'm gonna have even more work to do tomorrow. I'll never get free time. I won't get to play. ABC Mouse is out the window. There you go. Time management. There's gonna be a video on time management in homeschool. Very important. Kids need to know when they need to get their work done, when they get to do their chores, when they get to play. All that stuff needs to be scheduled. So scheduling is a must in homeschool. That's a #1 must. And we'll have a future video on time management skills for the kids and for the parent. and scheduling.
And scheduling is a lot easier than you think.
Homeschooling is learning for the whole family, for mom and dad, and for kids. There's no 100% best way to homeschool. There's all kinds of ways to homeschool. And if you can't homeschool your kids, I'm gonna give you the same advice my pastor gave the congregation, to get your kids into a Christian school. And even so, in a Christian school, you still need to make sure that your kids are learning what they need to know.
Be involved in your children's education no matter what.
Don't be afraid to learn with your kids. And that's it, guys. That is our Homeschooling 101 Why, How, Tips and Tricks. Till next time, we'll see you in our next video. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in, you guys.